Well, welcome to Divine Connections. Tonight we have a very, very, very special show for you. And so what we need you to do right now is to like, to tag, and to share this broadcast. Because for every person who have experienced a divorce, they're going to want to tune in tonight. And so we want to give you just a few minutes to let somebody know that we're on the air and that my guest tonight is going to be sharing from his heart from a man's perspective. So we often hear from women, but very rarely do we get to hear from a man that will be vulnerable and open to share with us. So tonight we're talking about bouncing back from divorce. And we're going to share with women what they need to know, and then with men, where they can go to get some help. So divorce right now is kind of rampant in our world, and it's rampant in the church, and the statistics in the church is almost the same, maybe in some cases higher than it is in the world. And we need help. We need to see change. We need to see things begin to turn around. And I believe that there is a need for men to be mentored and for women to be educated on certain things so that our marriages and our relationships can be preserved. But what it's going to take is men actually stepping out, sharing, being vulnerable, talking to women, educating them, not thinking that women just automatically know or you think they should know. We need to have men that will share with us about the real pains and the joys that they experience in relationships. So we have a generation of fatherless men, especially in the African American community. And so every time that we can have a man come forth and share with us the different things that men go through, it's going to help. And I just believe that God is going to do something tonight that is so very special to every young man, every young older man, every woman that is watching tonight. So what I want you to do, again, I want you to like it. I want you to tag somebody. I want you to send this in their inbox. Even if they can't look at it right now, they can look at it later. This is vital. We have to have more conversations like this. And tonight, my guest, again, is he's excited to be here, and I think he's going to share some things that you need to hear. It's going to be hot. It's going to be amazing. So I am going to offer you an opportunity to ask some questions. So hopefully we'll get to some of those questions, but you can go ahead and start letting us know where you're coming in from, who you are, so that we can kind of recognize you. But if you have some questions, especially when we get into the meat of this discussion, I want you to ask those questions. So ladies and gentlemen, tonight I want you to welcome to the Divine Connections platform, Mr. Derrick Gay. He's coming in tonight and he's going to share with us. So Derrick Gay, come on in. Derrick Gay is not there. He's coming. So while he's getting all of his connections situated over on his side, again, I want you to send us your questions, comment. I want you to tell us where you're from. You know, it always happens like this. You know, you're all ready. We've been here for a season of time, getting prepared, getting ready. And then, you know, sometimes we run into these computer glitches. But while we're waiting on everything to get situated with him, I want to know what are some of your questions, some of your comments? Where are you coming in from? You have to enable StreamYard to actually see your comments. And when you do that, then I can see your name. But you know, you let them know that you're gonna that they have permission to show your name, and I'll be able to see it. So Derrick Gay, he had to go out of the studio. He's going to be coming back in, but you can rest assured, oh, he will be here. He was here. And then again, we ran into some computer issues. So what we're going to start talking about tonight is the vulnerability, the issues. There he is, Derrick Gay, ladies and gentlemen. Well, welcome, Derrick Gay. I am so excited that you're here tonight. Welcome.
Hi, how are you? Listen, it's a privilege to be on the show with you tonight. I'm extremely excited to share, and I believe that somebody's life is going to be impacted tonight.
I believe that. I really believe that. I want to get right into it tonight. I want you to talk a little bit tonight about your positioning. Where were you whenever when the thoughts of divorce and you knew that divorce was going to happen in your life? Can you give us a little bit about your positioning and what you were doing at that time?
I think for me, I went through a difficult time as it relates to, and I think I heard you because it was kind of breaking up or whatever the case is. But divorce for me, I think, is what you were asking.
Right.
Divorce for me was not what most people would consider the typical status quo of how a man handles divorce. Divorce for me was actually pretty tough because I was married for real. I planned to be with the person that I was with for the rest of my life, and all of a sudden it was over. And so now I have the responsibility now to go back and recover and regroup and do all of the things that's necessary and pick up the pieces to put my life back together all over again. Did I plan to do it? Absolutely not. Was it something that I was prepared to do? Certainly. And I definitely didn't think it would take as much work as it did. However, in the midst of it, I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about how resilient I really was. And with, God's help, I was able to certainly get through it.
Now, you were pastoring at that time too, right?
Certainly. I was pastoring in the Central Florida area, and we both were extremely involved with the ministry. I would say that while we were there, we experienced a number of great things that happened as a result of God just kind of, enabling us and giving us an opportunity, and for everything to come crashing down. One day you're pastoring, and the next day I'm having to shut everything down because I didn't feel equipped. I didn't feel like my worth had completely diminished, and I didn't feel like I was worth pastoring anybody. And so I made a decision to shut everything down. And the next couple of years of my life proved to be extremely difficult as a result of it. So
not for men, right? It's not difficult for men.
Oh, listen, I will tell anybody this. Divorce is something that I have some people that I don't like a whole lot, but I wouldn't wish divorce on any of them. And so, men, they might not want to admit it, but the reality is that we hurt just like anybody hurts. How we process it is based upon our experience, is based upon how we were raised, our orientation, how we were groomed. We may have had men in our lives that told us that, we're not supposed to emote, we're not supposed to feel anything, we're not supposed to, show what we feel. And I understand where that comes from. I get the premise of it, but the reality is that there are men that are dying with emotions bottled up and feelings bottled up, and the people around them are watching them function every single day and go through life acting as if everything is okay, and they're broken and damaged and
Wow.
bleeding on the inside. And so now you have men that should be leading effectively, leading from a healthy place, and they're bleeding all over everybody that's around them. They're having to lead their children, their families, and when you're having to lead from that place, you're acting out of a place of deficit, and no one really benefits as much as they could if you were whole.
Right, right, right. So, so is it safe to say that right now there could be men watching us that look absolutely fine on the outside,
Mm-hmm.
but they have bottled up emotions on the inside?
Listen, I'll tell. This is a quick story. A good friend of mine. I was riding down one of the main highways in Orlando, and he called me, and he's real quick. He called me. He said, "Hey man, how you doing?" And I said, "Oh man, I'm straight. I'm good." He said, "That's not what I asked you." He said, "How you doing?" And he
Mm-hmm.
said, "Because if you don't have the ability to communicate how you feel, then we got a bigger problem because I call you my friend. And
Wow.
as a friend, my responsibility is to be there and to help you process through the things that you're going through. And so I need you to communicate. If you don't have anybody else to say anything to, I'm letting you know that I'm here for you and you can share what it is. And it's between me and you. It's,
And
it's,
how
it's, it's,
important was that important for you?
Oh man, it was huge because I didn't have a space. I didn't have I first of all I had lost trust for a lot of people because the people that were around me at that time, a lot of them had turned their back, a lot of them had walked away. And so the trust factor was huge for me, like having to relearn how to trust people because you have a situation where somebody that you plan to, for example, be with for the rest of your life, you trusted in the fact that that was going to be the case, and now all of a sudden it's not. And so you have people that are coming around you, really, that I believe that God was sending to undergird and to help build you up and to strengthen you, but you have an issue receiving from them because you're in a broken place. But in that moment, he was able to penetrate through all of the hurt, all of the emotions, all of the damage, all of the brokenness that I had experienced, and he made an impact in my life in that moment. And I'll never forget talking to him, and as I was talking to him, I could feel a release in that moment. And so man, it was an extremely powerful moment, and I'm sure we'll talk about some other ones, but yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I see one of your former parishioners saying that's my number one pastor. It's amazing.
Well,
They still love you.
I tell
They
you
still
what.
love you.
Listen, man, I pastor. Listen. I am a pastor at heart. My hands were dirty. I love people. Even some of them now, I still interact with them. I watch them on, Instagram, Facebook from afar. I see their lives being impacted, and I think as pastors, that's the one thing that you really want to see anyway. And so, not it's not about the numbers. It's not about how many people you can pack in, but it's about the lives that you impact. So
Wow.
that's absolutely cool. Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's really good. I know it's heartwarming tonight to know that some of them are watching. So we're streaming on several different platforms. So I'm not sure where they're watching from, but it's amazing for people to come back and really, especially like you were saying, for you to be able to watch and see their growth and their development. and you can
Absolutely.
leave there knowing, hey, I was a part of that.
Absolutely.
How important is it, would you say, for any person to acknowledge their role in the divorce? Because it's never one person's fault, of course.
Of course, I mean, it's monumental. Um, First of all, there can't be any freedom if there's no acknowledgement. And I say this all the time: freedom is not for cowards, right? And so if you don't want to be free, then you simply stay under the control of somebody that's controlling you, right?
Wow.
And you stay under the control of the thing that's mastering you. But when you develop and when you grow up and when you get ready to master something, then you make a decision, as the Bible talks about, to put away childish things, and you begin to develop and you begin to grow and you mature and you begin to see um, these things, this maturation process happening in your life, and even in the process of when you accept the fact that you played a role, you had everything to do with why it didn't work. As a matter of fact, for me, and I can only talk about me tonight. I'm not going to deal with anybody else. I'll talk about me. Uh, I have always stood on the premise that the marriage rises and falls with the man. So
Okay.
even in divorce, I've done my best to try to cover even in divorce. No matter what happened between me and her, no matter what she did, I've tried to cover it. Why? Because I acknowledge that I am imperfect. I made some mistakes. There are some things that I did that were wrong, that were blatantly wrong. Otherwise, we would still be married. That's the reality of the thing. And
Mhm.
so it's never one person's fault. It's always two people playing an equal role and not being able to communicate or not being able to work out the nuances of their differences. And so I think when you acknowledge that you have an issue or that you created a problem, and then you acknowledge it. Uh, Once you acknowledge it and you acknowledge your role in it after the divorce, then you can begin to do the work. You can
Right.
begin to do the work and make sure that you don't repeat what you did before.
So let me ask you this. A lot of times, it's very difficult for people to acknowledge their role. But
Mhm.
since you're acknowledging your role and you're saying, hey, I made some mistakes, how is it that how do you move on? Because of course you're a young man, so I know you want to be married again, right?
Listen, let me tell you something, Dr. Dunstan. She's so close. I can smell the Chanel on her right now. I'm telling you.
She
I'm
wears
telling
Chanel,
you.
huh?
Listen, I can smell it on her right now. I'm telling you, I can smell it. So,
Well,
listen.
how do you get past the guilt, the condemnation, all of that thing stuff that the church, even the church world, would sometimes try to put on you? How do you get past that and embrace your future with a spouse that that you're going to choose eventually?
Well, I think honestly, true freedom can only come from God, right? First, obviously, I know that we haven't talked about it much, but obviously, I have a relationship with God, and He's with me through the entire process. The place of freedom is it's pricey, but well worth whatever you got to go through in order to be free. And so my difficulty, my my issues that I might be facing, the stuff that I might be dealing with, my idiosyncratic stuff that I might have to work through. All of it is worth acknowledging, dealing with it, and breaking free of it in order to experience the freedom that comes on the other side. Because there's greater on the other side of it. The stuff that you thought you couldn't get over, the people turning their back on you, the people not acknowledging the fact that you've had an impact in their life and making a decision that you're no longer good enough to serve them. And notice what I said. You're no longer good enough to serve them. I didn't say lead. I said serve them. And
Wow.
it's different when you see yourself as a servant, because I'm just simply here to give something to you. I'm not here to take anything. If I can give as much, I that's what I want to do. And so when people walk away and you have that type of heart, it yeah, sure, it hurts, and there are emotions that you walk through. But I promise you, if you just sit down and allow God to deal with you, I promise you that it'll be the best time that you could ever have, because the freedom that's on the other side of it completely and radically alters your life. You'll never be the same as a result of that encounter. I'm telling you. So just you have to be in a position where you're open to acknowledge God, acknowledge your faults, the difficulties, the stuff that you've done, all of the issues, and then allow Him to deal with it. And are you going to be gutted? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm here to tell you, it's not going to feel good, but it's good for you. So,
Wow. So I read some of your comments that you write about relationships, and I meant to pull one of them up. There was one that stood out in particular, and I cannot remember what it was, but I noticed on your journey of healing, um, you're starting to speak out about the essence and the beauty of women and what it is that what you've learned as a result. And you have a lot of little comments on your page. What inspired you to start writing?
5 years ago, and this is the first time that I've talked about it publicly. Nobody knows this except for a couple of people. But 5 years ago, I was pastoring and I was living in an office space. And hear me when I say this. I said I was pastoring and I was living in an office space. I was living in that office space because at the time I could not afford to go and get an apartment and pay the amount of money that I was allocating for my ex-wife at the time and my son. And so I made a decision to stay there. Uh, and then I said, you know what? I'm gonna add some value to it. I'm gonna go work out every single night because I know I got to take a shower. And
Oh,
I
wow.
took a shower at Planet Fitness every single night. And until I was able to build myself up and that sort of thing. And but it was during that time that I began to start writing. And as I began to write, um, there are a lot of things that came out. It was like a faucet that had been turned on, where God began to reveal some things to me about relationships and about how we should function, and certain nuances. And I just started to write for years. I've been writing little things and inspiring and challenging people and encouraging people. People jump in my inbox, and it's not about sliding into the DM to try to figure out what's going. No, a lot of people jump into my inbox to say, you know what, man, I read that, and man, it was inspiring. And initially, when I started, I had a tag name, and the tag name was the influencer. And so when I was posting originally, people thought that I was posting things that the influencer would write. I
Okay.
was the person that was writing it. And so I had always believed that I had been called to influence, impact, and engage culture, inspire change, and make an impact. And so as the influencer, it's not my name on it. So none of the shame and none of the hurt, none of the stuff that I went through, my divorce, none of that is attached to the influencer. The influencer can just simply speak, and people could receive freely and be inspired and hear without any type of prejudice or anything like that. They didn't have to, filter it through anything. They could just receive. And so I wrote like that for a long time, until recently. Um, I started back using my name, or I'll say DG, or whatever the case might be. and people started literally just jumping into my inbox, asking me questions. Hey, man, uh, I went through the same thing you went through, and this and that happened, and da 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 da, and they just needed an ear, and so I started writing, and man, 5 years ago, 6 years ago now,
Yeah.
almost 6 years ago, and it's been an extremely cathartic thing. I don't ask me when anything is going to be published because I can't answer it. I have enough material to be published, but I just haven't had an opportunity to sit down with somebody that can organize me for long enough. I don't know what happened recently, but something is going on where I just can't sit still long enough. And so,
Wow.
God is doing an awesome thing in me, and He's enabled me to be able to write and to inspire people. And so, if anybody's encouraged and inspired by something that I write, man, thank God for it. So.
Mhm. So, the last several days, we've had the opportunity to talk a lot, and you've been able to share a lot of different things. And one of the things that you shared with me is that sometimes when you write the inspirational things, that the women comment on the outside, but the men go into the inbox. They're not commenting externally.
Mhm.
And there's a reason for that. Why do you think men do that?
I'll share this with you. Something I learned something a long time ago when I was in pastoring uh, in Orlando. Um, I created this group called Man Focus, and I'll
Mhm.
never forget. Um, I decided to have it in the lounge of my apartment. I lived, for those of you that are familiar, I live right there in the lofts, right there in Altamont Springs, and we had a nice little lounge area. And so I allowed the men to come in, and we basically sat in that room and we began to talk. And as we began to talk, um, because it was only men in the room, something began to happen. I started hearing stuff like, my mother never loved me.
Wow.
My dad never acknowledged me or affirmed me. I was touched by somebody that I trusted. And so I began to question my sexuality at a very young age. All of these things began to emerge. And as they began to emerge, it was as if like something went off in me to say, um, as men, we don't have a problem sharing. We just don't want to share it with y'all.
Okay.
And it's not that we don't necessarily trust you. In that meeting, what I found was is most of the hurt we would think it came from another man, but most of the hurt that a lot of them experienced, it came from a woman at a very young age. And so what ends up happening is you have men who grow into, now that they're men now, right? No woman gonna hurt me. I'll listen before I let a woman hurt me. I'm telling you right now, because I gotta flex. I gotta make sure that I'm a man, right? So you have on one side a woman who has damaged or has broken or bruised this guy, and then on the flip side you have all of the men who he looks up to or that he maybe acknowledges in the role of a male figure or that sort of thing, saying, "Hey, you can't be soft. You can't be. Don't be soft. You don't listen. All that crying. Shut up. All that crying. Da, 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 all of that, right? And so what ends up happening is you have these men who are really little boys
Mm.
because they've never matured past the place of their brokenness, and they're marrying our daughters, and they're becoming fathers, and they're fathering the next generation, and the cycle is repeating because people are not being fathered and mothered properly. And so what I took from that was is I always wanted to make sure um, that I just simply acknowledged and had compassion for what somebody was experiencing, and that I would challenge them to feel all of it.
Mm.
Listen, I just felt something right there. If somebody's listening right now, I'm telling you, I don't care what you are going through, what you've experienced, what has happened in your life, the breakup, the divorce, whatever it is that's happened, I am telling you to
Glory to
go ahead and feel all of it, to emote, to let go, to cry, to scream, to holler, to do whatever it is that you got to do in order to break free from it. Because in order for you to really see freedom and really see the type of release that you really want, I'm telling you, you got to feel all of it. You got to take all of it. And it's not going to feel good while you're going through it. But I'm telling you, if you go through all of it, if you let all of it, go ahead and take it. Go ahead and take it. Go ahead and take it. I know it doesn't feel good, but I'm telling you that on the other side of it, there is a greater dimension. There is a greater glory. There is a greater wealth. There is a greater health. There is a greater level of understanding. You're going to be better for the next person that
God.
you are assigned to be with if you feel all of it. Go through all of it. Don't take any
Wow.
shortcuts. Go through all of it.
All of it. Wow. That's powerful. That's really powerful. And I've had more men responding tonight than normal. So
Yeah.
that's a good thing. It is so necessary. And it seems like I remember something we were talking about when you were saying that sometimes the men, um, they don't know how to tell a woman that they're hurting.
Mhm.
You remember, talking about that? Uh,
Oh yeah. Here's the thing. I think, and I mentioned this to you that in a lot of cases, the church, I'm gonna deal with some things with the church here. The church has modeled a lot of things for us, and they told us how to faith it. They told us how to believe and, name and claim some stuff. They taught us about spiritual lineage. They taught us all types of stuff, right? They
mhm.
gave us all these principles. But here's the thing that I never saw any brand fire leader, any brand fire pastors really dive into and really dig into, and that was the aspect of marriage. See, here's the reality. I got married when I was 19 years old. Okay. I
Wow.
got married on a black college campus. I was an athlete that was a standout athlete. Okay. And I got married for the right reasons, but I didn't know what being married was.
Right.
I had never seen it modeled. I had never seen anybody show me or teach me or say something simple as this is how you treat your wife. I never saw anybody when she walked in the door slap her on the butt and make her turn back and smile at them. I never saw that. However, I was trying to create something that I had never seen, and so I don't know if
So it didn't work, huh?
listen. I can say this without any fear or trembling. I wanted to be married. Okay. I was on a campus where it was about 20 to 1. So
Wow.
if I wanted to fool around, trust me, there was plenty of opportunity. But I had blinders on, and even now today, there are people that say, "Hey, man, you know what? You were married for real." you know and the thing about it is that people when they don't understand what marriage is about, when they've never seen it modeled, they're simply trying to figure it out, right? And the reality, statistically, I didn't know, but statistically, marriage, if you get married before the age of 25, you're about 27 to 28% more likely to get a divorce. Why? Because in those first few years, you have leaner years financially, which we all know that finances cause a major, major problem because First of all, we don't necessarily know how to communicate. That's the first thing. And then secondly, the money is funny, so it's going to cause an issue with regards to how we're living in our living arrangements. And so we got two issues that a 19 or a 20-year-old is responsible to handle, and they've never been taught how to do it. And what are they supposed to do? We want that. Listen, I didn't get married so that I better not say that. No, I am gonna say it. I didn't get married so that I could just have sex. I got married because I wanted a covenant commitment and to be partnered with someone that I felt like I could be with for the rest of my life. And so when it's not working, and this was your mindset, and you're trying to figure out, man, what is going on? Why are we screaming at each other? What are we yelling for? Wait a minute. The honeymoon was just a couple. What is going on? Why are we fussing?
So what does the ideal marriage look like to you now? What going into something new? What are your expectations?
Listen, at 41 years old, because I've experienced what I've experienced, she doesn't stand a chance. Like, divorce is not even, it's not even a possibility. Let me tell you why. For one, here's the first thing. The first thing is I have a better understanding of who I am. And because I have a better understanding of who I am and what it is that my responsibilities are and how I should function and the things that I should be doing, right? It puts me in a position, or it puts me in a place to where whoever the person is that I connect to, the person that I commit to, they are going to have to be okay with me. I'm not going to change for you. Newsflash. I'm not changing for you because I have my own assignment. I have my own mandate. I have my own call. And so I have responsibilities that are attached to that. Now, the other part of it is I also have to acknowledge that in her. I have to acknowledge the fact that she is her own individual. I have to acknowledge the fact that she has something going on. It might be children. It might be her own business. It might be her status, and whatever it might be. If I want her, I have to absorb all of who she is. And marriage for me now is simply that. I am big enough and I have enough in me to absorb everything that she is and everything that she could ever be. And so
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, and so marriage now is a lot easier. Yes, obviously you're gonna have to work. You're gonna have to work at it, but I understand the dynamics of marriage a lot better. And so where it might have been an argument before, I'll know how to handle a situation before it ever becomes an argument. I can see it becoming an argument before it shows up. Wow. And as a matter of fact, the molehill can't even stand in my house because I'm gonna deal with it while it's a molehill.
So there's a remnant of women that's on the rise. They're business women, they're professionals, they're politicians, they're ministers. They are very, very visual. Mm-hmm. In the Black community, especially, there has been kind of like a famine of men that are secure enough to understand that a woman that is very visible, perhaps even in demand, is not his competition, his partner. Mm-hmm. So how about speaking to that a little bit?
Well, here's the thing. I'm a former athlete, right? Mm-hmm. So as a former athlete, we had this saying where I come from. Right? Mm-hmm. I grew up in South Florida. We built and bred a lot different than most people. Okay. It's just the bottom line. Listen, let me go ahead and if there's any single ladies on this show right now, I'm telling you, if he's from South Florida, he's different. Okay. So,
Okay.
so we had this thing where we would say he puts his pants on one leg at a time, just like I do. It didn't matter how good he was. When he strapped it up that night, he's going to have to play every single down. Why? Because I wasn't intimidated by the level of competition, right? Where we mess up, I think, in marriage is we think that one person's gifts begin to override, or it begins to minimize who we are because we're not comfortable and we're not secure in who we really are. As a man, I don't care how much my wife preaches, or how much money she makes, or how much business she. As a matter of fact, you read Proverbs 31, she's supposed to do a whole lot of business. She's supposed to make a whole lot of money. She's supposed to be respected in the community. So I don't have a problem with her having any of that status, being called upon, or any of that. Why? Because I'm secure within myself and I understand who I am. When she comes home, guess what? She's still going to want me to rub her feet. When she comes home, she's still going to want me to talk to her the way that she wants me to talk to her. When she comes home, she's going to want to make sure that she can feel secure in my space with me around. And if she doesn't, then it presents a problem. And I think that's where two people that are not on the same wavelength, and when a man doesn't understand and also value who she is, it's because he's not secure within himself.
Wow. So, would you agree that that exists a lot in our community?
I would say that it's something that I think has come through generations prior. Um, I think it's something that's diabolical. I think it's something that started with slavery, because we had to deal with our wives being asked to come into the house while we were in the field. We had to deal with them having a higher level of status than we had. And it's something that has passed, I believe, passed through generation after generation after generation. And the spirit has never been dealt with. And because the spirit has never been dealt with, we're still having to deal with it today. Listen, I'll never forget. I was in Atlanta and I went to a football practice, and I saw more dads at football practice in the middle of the day than moms. It was weird to me. I was like, wait a minute. And they're driving up in these Porsches and, all of these cars. A good friend of mine was coaching at a private school. And I'm like, what in the world is going on that all these people get off at 3 o'clock? What do they do? Like, what is it? Man, I started talking to some of them. You know what they said to me? I'm a stay-at-home dad. I
Okay.
said, wait, hold up. I said, wait. I said, wait, 1 second. Now, I said, hold on. So you mean to tell me that you stay home all day while she goes to work? He said, oh, yeah. He said, shoot, she makes $300,000. I was a teacher making 50. So we
Wow.
had to sacrifice. And the sacrifice was me staying at home, taking care of schedules, preparing meals, cleaning the house, making sure that everything was in line. And then when she comes home, I take care of her. I said,
Okay.
what in the world is
So,
this?
so there's a change, especially in the Atlanta area.
Listen,
In Atlanta.
listen. I listen. I'm not saying that that's going to be the status quo, because I simply wouldn't feel comfortable in that role. But I'm saying there are a number of people who are functioning that way, and their women don't care about the fact that they're home. They care about the fact that they have fidelity, that they have fidelity, and that they're taking care of their house and their children, and that there are no issues amongst them. That's all they care about. They don't have a problem going to work. And so if it's okay for them, guess what? No sweat off my back. That's their relationship. For me, probably wouldn't work because I'm just built a little different. So,
Wow. They say it's like that in the DC area too. I imagine because there's so many politicians in the DC area. Um, what is it if you had, and you have a platform now to speak to women? What is it that you would want women to know?
that the man that you're believing for is probably closer than you think. And if you're in a relationship that maybe you're pondering or you're trying to figure it out or whatever the case might be, just breathe and allow it to happen. I know sometimes that men can be slow in the way that they do things, but this is I've personally I've taken this approach. I believe that a woman should be overwhelmed by a man. A woman should be overtaken by a man.
And what does that mean?
And what I mean by that is that once two people make a decision that they're going to share interests, that man is going to completely surround her and cover her and do everything possible to make sure that nothing else can come into that space. Do I worry about another man? Absolutely not. I'm not concerned about that. However, I know that they're there. The natural order of things, hear me, the natural order of things says that desirable females are going to be pursued by males who are strong, who are vigilant, who have means, who also understand how to grab women, right? And so I'm not necessarily concerned about a guy. I'm more concerned with whether she understands who I am. And when she's in my presence, does she value that time? Does she understand who's in front of her? Or is this just simply a dinner that we're having?
Right.
Is this a walk in the park that we're having? Or do you know who I am? That's a different thing. So I would say just chill.
And I think too, what happens that I run into with sometimes with women is because they're not clear on where they stand with a man. Maybe someone's talking to them, or maybe they've gone out to eat or something, but the person has never made them aware that you are my choice.
Let me go ahead and put this out there. If he hasn't put it out there, you ain't it.
You ain't it.
There is no, I don't know one male friend that I have that when they decided that that woman was the woman that they desired, it would take everything in heaven and hell to stop them from getting them. So the reality is that there is nothing that is going to stop a man that wants a woman. He's going to make sure you know exactly where you stand. Period.
Yeah, I see a lot. I see men commenting on that. So they agree.
Yeah,
So that woman that's looking, that's trying to figure out, is this the one? Is that the one? He's not the one if he's willing to let you walk away.
absolutely, absolutely,
Because
absolutely.
I think you gave an analogy the other night when Adam saw Eve,
Right.
he knew right away, this is flesh of my flesh.
There's
This
no
is
way.
bone of my bone.
There's no way I'm letting this one walk away. No way. No way. This was created specifically for me. No
Mm.
way I'm letting it walk away.
I see men saying facts. So every woman, before you get wounded, before you get destroyed, before your life is devastated, if you
Mhm.
have to guess where he is with you,
Mhm.
he hasn't chosen you.
Right.
He just hasn't chosen. You might be a nice person. They might like this about you, but they can't see, they can see their life without you in it.
Mhm.
And you really
Mhm.
want somebody to pursue you that that, just like you said earlier, someone to pursue you that says, hey, I can't imagine living the rest of my life without you.
Right. Right.
So that person comes, then every woman should just kind of take all of those choices out of the box and say, he just haven't come yet. Would you
Simple.
agree? That simple.
Simple. This it's difficult. It's difficult. As simple as it is, it's simple.
Question here: will a man go after a woman even if he states he isn't ready?
What is he going after?
Going after, like pursuing her, like, hey, I'm not ready, but I really want you.
Um, I would say, I don't necessarily know that any restrictions would necessarily stop pursuit. If I can answer that question, I saw the question pop up. I don't
Hmm.
necessarily know that restrictions would stop the pursuit. However, I know me personally. Like when I was, walking through a certain season, like the reality was, there were certain conversations that we had where I said, "Hey, listen, you know, we can go to movies, we can enjoy each other's company, but I'm just being honest with you. I'm not ready. I'm not in a place where I feel comfortable absorbing who you are. But you're nice. We can go have dinner. I'm not. You don't have to pay for a thing.
You'll
You don't have
pay
to pay
for
for a
it,
thing.
and I think it's better to be that way. Really, I think it's really best for a man to let a woman know. I mean, if I meet people all the time, and I think it's good and it's healthy to have male friends.
Mm-hmm.
But there's some people, right away, this is never. There's no point. Nothing's going to happen here.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's best, either if it's a man or a woman, to make it clear. There's no connection there.
Right, right, and I think that's the best way to do it. If I don't feel anything,
Mhm.
then I should share that. You know what I mean? And
Exactly.
you know.
You
I
know.
mean, come on, you know the first. You definitely know. So,
So tell me, what does the ideal woman for Derrick Gay? What are her what are her maybe not physical attributes, but what are you looking for?
yeah, because
Like,
if you ask me that, you'll get me in trouble.
well, there's a lot of people out there looking. You've been single for about 6 years now.
No, not
About
quite. I
about four.
divorced. I divorced in 2017.
Okay, so about 4 years now.
Yep.
You've taken the time to do the work, to assess. You didn't just jump out of this into something else.
Right.
You seem very balanced in terms of how you want to navigate your relationship. You seem pretty sure about the path and the direction that you're going in. So I would have to think that you're pretty sure about the attributes that you're looking for. What past physical, because you can have 50 women looking and every one of them could be beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
That is not the determining factor.
Mm-hmm.
What is the determining
That helps
factor?
a lot. That helps a lot. I'm not going to let you minimize that. That helps a lot.
It helps. It helps. They gotta first get your attention. You gotta first do a double take. Wait a minute.
Listen,
Who is that?
it's brothers on here, and I would be less than a man if I allowed you to minimize the fact that we love the way a woman looks. I'm not gonna let you do that. I'm sorry.
That's funny.
I'll let
That's
you do
funny. Okay. All right. Well, she has to be
here's the thing for me, right? What I've come to find is that for me, the moment that we start talking, if I see the
careful, right?
the moment that we start to talk, if we can't communicate or the conversation is not sinking, right? For me, I immediately will lose interest. For me, because I'm always thinking. I'm always trying to figure stuff out. I'm extremely analytical. I'm always forward thinking. Some people might, consider the little details. I'm A to Z, right? That's just the way that I am. So here's the thing. When I'm listening, when I'm having the conversation or when we're dialoguing, the way that we interact, do you have the ability to make me laugh? Are you not necessarily the most brilliant person, but do you have intelligence? Do you have an emotional IQ? Can I gauge your emotional IQ in our conversation? I think those things are what typically in the first few conversations will make me say, you know what, there's something about this one right here. Let me figure this out and see what this is about, because our conversation is such that we lose time almost. It's almost as if it's just us talking, right?
Right.
And everything else in the room doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Can I see you as a friend? Like, can we be friends? Yeah, sure. We got to make sure that we connect physically, and we got to make sure that finances are in order and all that. But are you my friend? Can you be my friend? Because the reality is I need someone that at the end of the day, I can look you in the eye and I can take off all of my shame, all of my vulnerability, all of my insecurities and say, man, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I'm trying to figure this out, but it's not coming. For whatever reason, I can't see this. This isn't clear.
Mm-hmm.
I have to be able to lay my thoughts down.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm able to lay my thoughts down,
mm-hmm.
for me, you probably got me.
Oh yeah. So what are you bringing to the table? Like you just described what your ideal person looks like. The table. Yeah. What are you bringing? The whole table.
I just answered you. The table.
The table.
The table.
You're gonna make her feel like a queen. You're gonna do everything necessary to guard your relationship. You're gonna cover her in prayer. You're gonna encourage her to do the things that she has in her heart.
She should do more than she thought she could do.
Right. You're gonna make a safe place when she is having these emotional moments, because I think we talked about it. Your commitment to love her means that you cover even the area of weaknesses, and the
Absolutely.
same thing with her. You're going to have things about you that the other person may not appreciate.
Hmm.
However, you have to be really careful, in like focusing on those things and making a decision that if I chose to love you, I understood that you came with weaknesses and flaws.
Hmm.
And instead of capitalizing on those things, I'm going to make a decision to bring those things in prayer. Because you got the people who are like over the top spiritual. So the
Hmm.
first things that they would have said was she got to love God, she got to pray in the Holy Ghost, she got to read her Bible 10 times a day. But in going through my own personal process, I recognize that you are not marrying a ministry. You're marrying an individual. You're partnering with a person, and you have to be in touch with what you really need. And so you don't necessarily need a preacher when you're at home. You need a wife, you need a companion, you need a friend, you need all of those things that you just outlined. And she needs the exact same thing.
That is the key. Forget about all of the accoutrements. That's what I say. Forget
Yeah.
about all of the extra stuff, right? The reality is the nuts and bolts. What do I need from you? What do you need from me? Okay.
Exactly.
Fundamentally, is it suitable? We had that conversation.
Yeah,
Is
right,
it right? Is it
right.
right?
Is
If
it
it's
right?
right, it's just right. You don't have to try to work it up. You don't have to try to conjure anything up. It's just right. And if and I heard somebody say this. They say if it feels good, then just go ahead and do it. No, I don't necessarily ascribe all the time to that, but I understand what they're saying because in reality, when something is just right, it's just right. It's
Mm,
just right. There's
wow.
no getting around it. There's no get you can try to make it unright all you want. It's just right. It's like the truth.
That's how
The
you're
truth.
gonna know. It's just right. This
It's
is just
just
this
right.
is just it.
It's
Got
just
it.
right.
Got it. I really hope that a lot of women and men as well, because I'm sure we may be, and from a woman's perspective, it's always easier for a man to find a suitable person.
Hmm.
That's from a woman's perspective. It
I
may
get
not
it.
it may not be rooted in truth, but it is absolutely, the way a lot of women see it. It's not always easy for a woman to find that equal, find someone that's equally, okay, we talked about the word compatible, equally suitable.
I
A,
got you.
a suitor, a real suitor,
A real silver. I got you.
you
I
know.
got you.
And
Got
and I think one of the things too that makes you stand out as a woman or even as a man is to make yourself more valuable by getting rid of all the issues, deal with the
you.
unforgiveness and the bitterness and all of the things that have happened to you in the past before you decide to connect with another person, so that when you enter into that covenant, you enter into that situation, they're not constantly touching places in your life that are unhealed.
Triggers, right? Triggers.
Triggers,
They're not
exactly.
triggering you. That
That's
they should. That honestly, the
uh,
triggers. There shouldn't be any triggers when the next person shows up. Like
what-
here, because you handle things differently. So I
mhm,
don't get upset at the things that made me upset with my ex-wife. I shouldn't. If I've dealt with it, if I've done the work, and we've talked about this. If I mind my business, right? If
mhm,
I've mined out myself and I've dealt with the stuff that maybe were triggers for me, right?
mhm.
And went to the place because the trigger didn't start with your ex or your spouse. It started long before that. And so going back as far as you can and discovering where the root started and
That's
then
good.
pulling it up from the root
That's good.
and then allowing someone to have a clean slate when they show up in your life. And they might do the same thing that the person did that showed up before, but it's not going to be the same. Why? Because you've dealt with the stuff that you needed to deal with, and you're whole, and you're healthy, and you just have a different perspective and
Mhm.
outlook. When you see it, you're like, oh, I recognize it. I know what that is. Let me go ahead and deal with that. It's
Right.
real easy. We can deal with that. I know how to deal with that. And you have a genuine conversation. Hey, listen, you started yelling earlier, and you know, not that
Right.
I didn't hear what you said, but here's the reality: we can't communicate if you're yelling.
Exactly.
So you respond completely different. It's not
Mhm.
about reaction; it's about response. And I think when you're healthy and when you're whole, you can respond. But when you're not, you react, and that causes the conflict, and that causes the battles, and that causes the warring amongst us. So
Wow. Well, this has been an absolutely amazing conversation. I have appreciated everything that you brought to the table, all of the things that you've offered, all of the information, the vulnerability. Again, I'm always looking for men that will come on and be transparent and offer something, especially to the next generation. So my final question to you would be, if there are men out there that want to connect, you called it what? Men of focus? What was it? A men of
man,
focus?
well, man, we called it man focus.
Man focus.
Listen, I got up at 3:30 this morning, and I could not go back to sleep. Literally, I heard Manifest Monday.
Wow.
Manifest Monday. Every man that is listening to this broadcast, if you know a man, if you're connected to a man, if you know somebody that needs to be around men, listen, on morning, Monday mornings at 6 Central Standard Time, we are going to be praying, and we're going to be speaking into the lives of men to ensure that we create a healthy balance. And if there are questions, or if there are things that people need to hear or that they need to know, then they'll be able to hear it on those Monday mornings. Don't want to take up a whole bunch of time, because I know brothers are busy. They're trying to take care of their families and that sort of thing. But if they just simply reach out to me, we're putting everything together, and we'll make sure that it works out for your schedules and won't hold you that long. So Manifest Monday. So
Manifest Monday.
I'm excited about it. I believe God is going to breathe on it, and we'll see what happens.
And so right now they can reach you by going into your inbox on Facebook.
They can reach me. They can go reach me via Facebook on my Facebook page, Derrick C. Gay the second, or they can hit me on Instagram at the real Derrick Gay. Um, and I mean, any questions that you have, nothing is off limits. Nothing is an unspoken rule. If there's something that you're dealing with, something that you maybe want some insight on, or something that I can help you with, man, listen, just simply reach out. And ladies, I'm always here for you guys as well. Anything that you guys need, just
You,
simply
don't
ask.
want- you
Uh,
may not want to open up that door. You might want to be careful with that one.
yes,
Uh,
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
you just gotta, you know, yeah, you might want to be careful, with that one. But
I'll take heed to that.
yeah, take heed to that one.
Edit that part. Edit that part out. Edit that
Edit
part.
that. It's too late. It's live. Everybody, So if you're out there and you want to be a part of Manifest Monday, you heard it right here. This particular platform stirred up new ministry for you, right?
Absolutely, because it's been, let me see, 2015. 2015 was the last time that I spoke publicly. As a matter of fact, this is the first time that I've even had a public session with someone. So, trust me, there's a whole lot bubbling up, and I just believe that, we're going to see what happens.
Wow. Manifest Monday with Derrick C. Gay on Facebook and on Instagram, The Real
The
Derrick
real
Gay.
Derrick Gay.
The Real
Yes.
Derrick Gay. You heard it right here. You're young. How young? How young?
I'm 41.
No, not you. How young would the men's group be?
Listen, here's my thing. I never like to put a cap on,
Okay.
especially since I've divorced, and I'll tell you why. Since I've divorced, I've had to learn how to father differently, and so it's forced me to um, learn new concepts and learn how to talk to my son, even though he's in a completely different city, halfway across the country. He and I talk multiple times a day, and he knows that his dad is there, and I have the ability to interact with him and engage him and relate to him and all of that. And so I don't want to necessarily cut it off, but I'd like for the fathers to bring their sons aboard if we
Wow.
can do it that way. And so, if there's a mom that might be listening and she wants her son to be involved, I don't have a problem with that. We'll figure it out. Again, this is something that's brand new, it's fresh. This is something that literally this morning, and so I'm excited about it, and we're gonna see how it goes. We're gonna see how it goes.
Is it going to be on Facebook, or is it going to be on? How is it a prayer call? How are you
It'll
going?
it'll be on Facebook Live. We're not going to limit it to just a prayer call. It might it may one day it might be confessions. One day it might be just a conversation. Another day it might be prayer. But I want to open up and create a safe place for men to be able to jump in and be a part of something where they can communicate, they can talk, they can share, whatever the case might be, or even afterwards, build a community of men where they can build relationships and foster relationships with one another, where they feel comfortable engaging each other and talking about the stuff that's on them. So, man, I'm telling you, I can't wait to see what happens.
I am so excited, and I'm so happy to be a part of what God is doing in your life. Of course, keep me updated. And, I'll just give you an opportunity right now to say your final comments to the people. If you want to say something to the men or the women or to all of them.
Listen, to men and to women, I just want to simply say to you that, first of all, marriage can be a difficult thing, and divorce even much more difficult. And so I want to say to somebody, maybe you've experienced divorce and the trauma of it, and you haven't been able to kind of get through it, or you're feeling a certain type of way right now. You don't know how to necessarily your emotions are all over the place, or that guy that's out there, you don't really know who to talk to. The family that you were married into, nobody is talking to you now. All of a sudden, you were the best thing since sliced bread one day. Now all of a sudden, you're the scum of the earth. And so I'm just simply speaking to both people right now. And I'm here to let you know that your worth and your value is more than you could ever imagine, and that you are not valued based on the person that you are connected to. You are whole by yourself, and God wants to heal that place in you, and he's going to bring you into a place of restoration and recovery, and you're going to see God do some amazing things in your life. And I can't wait to hear the testimonies. I'm sure you guys are going to chime in with Dr. Victoria, and we're going to hear all of the things that God is doing. And man, I can't wait to hear what God says and what God does in the lives of his people.
Well, God bless you on your journey. I'm so happy she's so close. You can smell her Chanel perfume. Now you're going to have all these women going to buy Chanel. But God, I just bless you and just thank God for what I'm seeing happen right before my very eyes. And I know we're going to hear so much more about Derrick C. Gay. Thank you so much for accepting my invitation and for blessing the lives of God's people.
The pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much.
All righty.
All right.
Well, good night, ladies and gentlemen.